Well, as the crisis at the southern border continues to spiral out of control, there seems to be no end in sight to illegal crossings. To discuss the latest from the border, let's bring in our experts for today. Sheriff from Pinal County, Arizona, and Senate candidate Mark Lamb, and border correspondent Jaeson Jones. Great to have you both with us here, both experts. I'm going to start with you, Sheriff. You mentioned something that you've noticed particularly, that more and more military-age men are crossing the border. Fewer kids, fewer women, fewer families. Why is that significant?
Yeah, Kat, Bob, thanks for having me. You know, I've been saying this for a long time. The border's a problem, and Jaeson can corroborate this. There's so many issues that arise from not securing our southern border. But ultimately, lately, I've been seeing all these videos, and these videos are of military-age men. You're not seeing any women on the bunch, very few children. And that should concern every one of us, because they're coming from high special interest profile countries like Venezuela, China, Mauritania, Russia, Ukraine. And when you start getting these people coming from these countries that are only being vetted at a 5% rate by the Border Patrol, that's concerning to me, and it should be concerning to everybody out there, especially as a law enforcement guy. It's very concerning to me.
Jaeson, I know this question here might seem a little general, but I think it's appropriate because we are seeing record amount of people come across the southern border. Is there a plan that you're hearing out of D.C.? Is something in the works to change what's going on down there?
Well, good afternoon. It's good to be with you, and it's good to be with the sheriff. You know, look, he's exactly right in what he's seen. Look at the videos that we're, playing back to back, showing all week as Texas Department of Public Safety's aircraft division are chasing single males who are all runners coming into the country. There is no plan in place right now that I'm aware of. We broke the intel story several weeks ago that there were 82,000 people in the month of August alone who crossed through the Darien Gap. That was an unprecedented number. And that the entire pipeline from Mexico all the way down to the Darien was completely backed up with people. And we're seeing that play out. Yet what are we hearing from DHS? Their plan is very clear. It is to process faster. That's it. There is no national security initiatives being put in place, and there are no downrange places, operations to try to change what's happening. If there were, you'd be hearing it from the national level. And yet, what do we hear from them? Silence about what they're going to do to stop what's taking place.
Sheriff, I know you're based in Arizona, but of course you travel a lot. And I think what we're observing more and more, that the border problem is no longer just at the border. Of course, we're seeing it in large cities like right here in New York City, but it's even beyond that. At what point do you think Americans, most Americans, will have a situation where they realize that the border is literally in their backyard no matter where they live in the country?
I think we've already passed that point, Kat. We're starting to see New York's feeling it. Chicago, they got them sleeping in the inside the police stations on the floor. I go to Georgia, Alabama. Everywhere you go, these folks have made their way across this country. When we ask these people that come across, where are you going? None of them ever say Arizona. Some will occasionally say Texas. The majority of them are going to states all across this country, and predominantly red states for that matter. And we're seeing now New York, the governor, the mayor, they're starting to feel the effects of it, something we've been feeling for a long time in Arizona and Texas. And I'm kind of glad that Americans are waking up. I think I saw a poll that said 70% are upset with Joe Biden and this administration's failure to secure the southern border, and they should be, because it is affecting every American.
Jaeson, just expanding on what the sheriff just said, is it a matter of time, do you think, when we start to see the small towns across the country, not the big cities, not the sanctuary cities, the New York, the Philadelphias, but the small towns that normally wouldn't see the influx of migrants? Is it only a matter of time, if they continue to come in at this pace, that they'll start making their way there?
Well, I think they're already there. I think the truth is the news media is just not showing you. And why do I think that? Because look at the impact to Americans across the country from deadly fentanyl and dying from poisonings. That's not just staying in the big cities. We've had 111,355 people in a 12-month period, die from that. We've never seen anything like that, and the young ages too. So that tells you that the impacts, you got to remember, we talk about that border through the lens of immigration all the time and have for the last 30 years. That's the biggest failure here. This is the biggest national security failure and public safety threat to the American people, period. And the data on every front validates that. Yet what do we hear from the leadership about what they're going to do to stop it? I can't imagine being, a secretary, an undersecretary, the director of a federal law enforcement agency, and being virtually silent in the worst crisis this country has ever faced. We hear nothing from these people. So, look, guys, I'll be very frank with you. I want to say exactly what the sheriff just said. He's absolutely right. We're far beyond an invasion here. We are a nation overrun on so many different levels and layers.
Jaeson Jones and Sheriff Mark Lamb, I know that you see this every single day. So thanks for bringing us the truth and allowing us to see what you are seeing here on Newsmax every single day. Thanks so much.
Great to be with you.
Thank you. Good seeing you, Jaeson.